It seems like another world and another age ago now, but about 6 months ago I was on holiday in northern Italy. We started off in Venice, where, somewhat ironically, it was the same time that Queen's Drive in the parish suffered its burst water main flood, turning a street just outside my door into a Venetian canal. I needn't have gone anywhere. After that, we moved on to Florence, where one of the highlights was visiting the San Marco convent. It's an extraordinary place. Frescoes by the 15th century artist Fra Angelico adorn lots of the walls. They're so beautiful. Even all of the monks' individual cells have their own individual small fresco showing something of the life of Christ. In the convent, I saw one of the most utterly beautiful works of art that I've ever seen. You turn the corner up a flight of stairs, and there, quite unexpectedly, Fra Angelico's most famous work comes into view, his fresco of the Annunciation. It is so beautiful, one of the most famous paintings of this encounter, the beautiful encounter between the angel Gabriel and Mary. It is a somewhat revolutionary depiction. Fra Angelico moves away from the more traditional Gothic representations, where the figures would be indoors and the lighting somewhat flat. Instead, he moves it into a courtyard. Mary sits under cover, and we get the impression that the angel has flown in from outside. We see hints of the garden to the left-hand side, with flowers and grass and trees. The light is soft and yet spacious. The only way I felt able to describe it is that it is, quite simply, a painting full of potential. Today is the Feast of the Annunciation, when we celebrate the events in that scene, and we celebrate a very simple conversation. It is only in Luke's Gospel that we hear of the narrative of what happens, and although it is a conversation that plays a huge role in our understanding of Christianity, it only takes up 12 verses of the Bible. It's a very simple back and forth. Gabriel tells Mary she's going to have a baby. Mary questions how. Gabriel explains, and Mary says yes. That's it. The angel goes, and the course of salvation history is changed forever. This is not some long and deep discussion. It's quick and simple, and yet is so incredibly profound. Do go back and read that narrative today. You can find it in Luke chapter 1, verses 26 to 38. There's a link to it online in the description to this video. Simple conversations are, I think, going to be an important part of our communal life over the next few weeks. Many of us are simply unable to leave our homes at all. For the rest of us, our instructions are clear. We are only to go out when it's absolutely necessary. If we live with others, this period of isolation may be easier or harder, depending on who you live with. But for those who live alone, it is going to be, and may be, intensely difficult. Simple conversations can make the power of difference. Just dropping someone a text to share something funny that happened that day. Emailing to say, "Hi, are you okay?" Picking up the phone for a 5-minute chat about how, after a winter of dull and rainy weather, the moment we're told we have to stay indoors, the sun comes out and spring announces that it's here. You don't have to have any special skills or anything particularly interesting to say. Just a simple conversation can make the world of difference to our lives. And the same goes for our relationship with God. There is no doubt that the way that we all need to pray has changed significantly over the last few days. We're all having to adjust to life without church in the way that we used to, and not coming together as a community to pray. You might be wondering, how on earth do I pray? I don't know how. But despite the fact you're stuck at home and you may feel very busy, I certainly do, working out new patterns of working and living and being are time and energy consuming. But we can start, though, with a very simple conversation with God. We don't need to feel that we have to put aside a whole hour to pray or for a marathon Bible reading. We can just have a simple conversation with God. It can be a word or two. It can be just to ask for help in knowing how to pray, or saying, "Do you know what, God? I'm finding this all really hard." We can just shoot up an arrow prayer for somebody that we're worried about. Eloquence is not the order of the day here. We don't need to be worrying about that. A simple conversation will do. There's no greater simple conversation with God than the Lord's Prayer. In it, we address him intimately as our Father, and in it we are able to express all we need to as his children. This prayer has been uttered by countless millions of Christians all over the world and throughout the ages, in moments of joy and sorrow, by small children, or by those whispering with their last breath on earth. It is a prayer we can fall back on when we can think of nothing else to pray. It's the beginning of a very simple conversation. Pope Francis has called for all Christians, Roman Catholic or otherwise, to pray this prayer at the same time today. Archbishop Justin has echoed this call, and so I'm calling all of you, if you can, to pause what you're doing at 11 a.m. this morning and to pray this prayer. Pray it simply and slowly. And as you do so, know that you are joined in this simple conversation by millions, billions of Christians all over the world. It's a simple prayer, the beginning of a simple conversation, but often that is where God is. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen.